Hello YouTube, this is Mitch from Mitchell T's Trains, and today I thought I'd share my experience with these two kits from downtown Deco. Now prior to these, I've had zero experience with building a hydrocal kit. But I think these type of buildings lend themselves well to, for an example, a rundown or maybe an industrial area on your layout. And I have a spot on my layout where I think these are gonna look perfect. So I thought I'd go ahead and give these a try. The instructions say that you can use either 5-minute epoxy or Elmer's glue, white glue, but I would definitely recommend the 5-minute epoxy. Now, in the past, I've found epoxy difficult to work with, but it may have just been the brand I was using, because this time I was using the Gorilla 5-minute epoxy in the clear, and it worked great for me. It gave you ample time to be able to move things around before it's set, and I thought it was very easy to work with. So this is definitely my recommendation. I will tell you that these kits are not hard to build. They're not difficult at all, but there is a caveat with that. You have to be patient. As long as you're patient and take your time, these kits are very easy to build. So the first thing that you'll need to do is get the walls as square as you possibly can. I just used a square and some sandpaper, and none of the walls are square, I can tell you that. But you just do the best you can, get them as square as you possibly can, and if there's any gap in the joint, which I had a little gap, the instructions recommend using a spackling. The instructions also say that obviously you can disguise the joint by piping, conduit, or signs, things of that nature, and you can do that as well. But I will tell you what I used. I used drywall mud. I use drywall mud over my plaster cloth when I'm doing my scenery, so I had it on hand. I don't use the pre-mixed drywall mud. I have use the powder form that you add water to. And so all I did was I just took a paper cup and I put a very little amount of drywall mud powder and added some water. I didn't measure it out or anything, just made it very thin, almost runny. And then I just taped off either side of the joint with masking tape and then applied the drywall mud. And it worked out good for me. The next thing I did, which the instructions do not tell you to do, is I added a floor. Not sure if that's necessary, probably is not, but that's just what I opted to do. So, as you can see, the building is not square at all, and that's just the nature of these kits. So none of these angles are really 100% a 90-degree angle. So for the floor, I just, I set the building down on a piece of styrene and then traced the inside of the wall, and then cut out the piece of styrene with an X-Acto knife, just a smidgen larger, and then sanded it to get it to fit in there just perfect. I did the same thing with the roof as well. I just turned the building upside down and traced the top of the building from the inside. So, and then as you can see, I added the 3 pieces of styrene for the interior walls, and then the 2 pieces of styrene strips on either side here for supporting the roof. And that's it, pretty straightforward. The Trackside Tavern building was pretty simple as well, but of course I always have to make things harder than what need be. I have a road on my layout that this is going to sit next to, and I was trying to get the angle of this wall to run parallel with the angle of the road, if that makes sense. So I had to kind of do a little kit bash on this Trackside Tavern. And as you can see, all I did was I just added a little piece. Let's see here. I'll show you. Yeah. You can see right here, there's just a piece of hydrocal that I cut out, and so I widened the back wall in order to get the angle of this wall the way I wanted. This Trackside Tavern kit came with the base, this hydrocal base right here. The other structure didn't have it, so I wasn't going to use it for this kit, and that's what I used to cut out that little piece that I attached to that back wall. And then, as you can see, I just carved some rock right here to kind of match what was going on right here. Excuse me. This is an interesting building in that this is a stone structure that has then been bricked over, then at which point on some of the walls has been stuccoed over. So makes for a very interesting structure. And using that concept, as you can see right here, I just used some of that drywall mud and made it look like stucco right here. What I was trying to do was disguise the two joints right here that were running down. Excuse me, I got a cold, so bear with me. But yeah, so I just, I put some drywall mud, this area right here, and then this little area right here, and let it dry, sanded it down, and it looks just like this side. So I think it turned out pretty well. Yes, there's still a couple joints right here that you can see, but not that bad. I can live with that. So also none of these doors and windows, you're gonna have to carve those out. It's just that simple. None of them are gonna fit. And again, just takes patience. Whittle a little bit here, whittle a little bit there. I just used an X-Acto knife and carved out these windows and doors until they fit in there just right. So that's what I've done. And of course the roofs, they come with some styrene for the roofs, but I found that they didn't really fit. So I just used my own styrene. Again, they're not square, so I'm gonna have to, depending on how, particular you are, I'm pretty particular. I want mine to fit just right, but. So the next stage is painting. So let me go ahead and paint these up, weather these up, and on the second part of this video, we'll come back and I'll show you the final result. Okay, we are back with the second part of this video on the structures from Downtown Deco. I have them both painted and weathered, and for the most part, they are finished. So I thought I'd go ahead and show you the final result on how they turned out. We'll start here with the Trackside Tavern. I have it sitting on this turntable so I can show you, give you a 360-degree view of the entire building. I was very surprised on how well these turned out. I couldn't be happier. So the first thing I did, as the instructions recommend, was I painted the entire structure using flat white spray paint in order to seal the hydrocal. After that, hand painted the whole thing using water-based paint. Now, I am old school and I prefer oil-based paint, like the old Testors Model Master series that they discontinued. I was very disappointed when they discontinued that line of paint. I just don't like water-based paint. I don't like the way it goes on. It's not very durable. It chips easily. I mean, it cleans up very easily, I'll give it that. I mean, I guess there's pros and cons to both, but I just went on ahead and went with what the instructions recommended. I went on down to Michael's and bought a number of these inexpensive water-based paints. The brand is Folk Art. I just purchased a number of earth tones, the brick red, some grays, and just a number of different colors that I thought I might need for these builds. So once the whole structure was painted using the water-based Folk Art paint, I then spray painted the entire structure with dull coat. I then used a very light brown wash over the entire structure. At that point, I then applied the decals. Once the decals were applied, I sprayed it with a second coat of dull coat. I then used a weathering powder. I believe it was a dirty brown from the Doc O'Brien's weathering powder set. I used that over all the decals and the entire structure to give it yet more weathering. After that was done, I sprayed a third coat of dull coat, and that was it. And the very last thing I did was glue in the windows and the doors. Now those were painted. I actually spray painted those and weathered those beforehand, and putting those in were the very last thing I did, using epoxy, just a very small amount for the windows and the door. So again, I very pleased with how it turned out. Let me go ahead and show you the second structure. Move this to the side. Move this back a little. For this one, I just used 4 different earth tone browns for each of the 4 storefronts. The animated signs are from Miller Engineering. I had both of these signs specifically in mind when I purchased this particular kit from Downtown Deco. Right now, I just have them running off of the 3 AAA batteries. And they're just sitting inside the structure just for the purpose of this video, to kind of show them off. Obviously I will hardwire them to the layout when that time comes, but again, just for the purpose of this video, I have them battery operated. But again, very pleased with the way this one turned out as well. And just went through the same process on this structure as I did with the Trackside Tavern structure. Show you this large decal here on the end. It's pretty cool. But yeah, if you've never tried one of these, I would say go for it, just like I did. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Just fantastic kits. I just really pleased with the way they turned out. So that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.